Hi, I'm Dharmachari Sona, and I've been a member of the Triratna Buddhist Order for 40 years. I'm currently in New Zealand, but I live in the UK. I used to be the president of the Manchester Buddhist Centre some years ago, and I've been invited to lead the retreat for the Sangha at Adhisthana in May this year. I'd just like to say a little bit about the retreat, and actually just tell you a little story that I hope will kind of explain a little bit why I'm so excited about talking about abundance. Many years ago I was on a retreat in Gyuhyaloka, a 16-week ordination retreat, and during the course of that retreat we had a lot of silence. For 2 or 3 hours a day we were just sitting doing what we wanted in silence. One of the things I did, I just sat for an hour at a time or so, just watching my mind. And then one day something very, very strange happened. I won't go into the details of that just now, but I found it quite disturbing. And immediately I felt, oh, this is something I wasn't really expecting to happen. And feeling uncomfortable, I thought I'd go off and distract myself. So there's no one to talk to because we're in silence. So I went to the library and I was leafing through some of the books there, one of the seminars that Bhante gave, and I came across his teaching on the path of regular and irregular steps. And suddenly it occurred to me that what I've been doing, watching my mind, was quite an advanced practice in some ways, and maybe I've been on the path of irregular steps, and maybe I needed to get back on the path of regular steps. So I thought, well, what is the path of regular steps? Immediately, probably because we've been studying it, I thought of the paramitas, and I went and thought about the first one. The first one, of course, is dana. And I asked myself, am I generous? Do I practice generosity? And it occurred to me that although I felt pretty generous with my time, in some areas I felt as though I wasn't very generous at all. So I started reflecting on this and thinking how I've become more generous. So I actively practice giving more money away and finding other opportunities to practice generosity. Sometime later I began to realise that it was as though my being was expanding, and that I could feel as though the practice of generosity was leading in itself to, even though giving things away you'd think life was becoming a bit smaller, it had the opposite effect. It felt as though my life was becoming richer. In fact, I seemed to have more to give away. The more I gave, the more I seemed to give away. But this had a big effect on my feeling of confidence and trust in the Buddha's Dharma, and it led me on to realising that there was something wonderful about feeling you have an abundance of things you can give, and you can give away. So this is what I'd like us to be going into on the retreat in May. All about abundance and richness of our being, and how we can move from a more constricted, tight sense of self to a much larger, expanded sense of self. So I hope you'll join me there, Adhisthana, in May. Details of the retreat you can find on the Manchester Buddhist Centre website. Thank you. I'll see you there.